Extensive puck prep is playing a bigger role in modern espresso than ever before, and there are some tools that we understand very little about in the marketplace. I wanted to get started talking about a couple devices with a similar function that I've been using lately, the PorcuPress and the Kaktus. Both of these devices work by punching many holes into the puck before tamping, but what do? Some people believe that they create controlled channels that leave an array of lower density spaces in the puck, but I think that the blog Caffeinated Science has a better explanation. The holes allow the final puck to be more dense after tamping. His measurements of puck thickness show this pretty clearly, but I was a bit confused by his results showing a denser puck and faster flow. I wanted to pull a few shots for the camera to see what would happen for me. I tend to prefer coarsely ground shots with a little more contact time than they would prefer to provide, so I was always hoping the denser pucks would flow slower. Coarse regime shots with these tools have consistently flowed slower for me regardless of the coffee I've been using for the last several months. You'll see a minor change with this coffee of just a couple seconds, but for these short times, it is a pretty big change as a percentage of the total. A small change like this can make a big difference in the flavor presentation of coffees at this end of the spectrum, with the punch shots being consistently more acidic, sweet, and enjoyable for me. Moving into a slightly finer grind, I actually had two shots that ran to identical times. It was an early indication that either the changes may be nonlinear, or that the relationship might even flip if I kept going coarser. I pulled a few more shots at this size and stayed within what I'd call a reasonable margin of error. These shots simply flow at about the same speed for this coffee, whether they've been treated with these prep tools or not. All shots in this time range tasted similar enough that I'm confident I could not pick them apart blind. For some other coffees I've pulled, I'm still flowing slower when punching than not at this grind size. Regardless, match shot times is a pretty interesting result, but what would happen as I went finer still? Moving to a very fine grind had me a bit worried that I would fully stall flow, but I wound up with a series of shots that were once again within what I would call a reasonable margin of error. Because these shot times are so long, a variance of a couple seconds is not unexpected and manifested across several shots. All the shots did stay tightly grouped in the 53 to 57 second range and had a pretty similar taste presentation. I wouldn't call any of them good per se. My specific setup and coffee really don't play nicely together at this grind size and flow rate. This tight grouping was a pretty big surprise to me, but keep in mind that it's also possible that there's a grind size in between my medium and fine setting that would show faster flow for these tools than without. I haven't tested every setting yet. I'm not ready to make conclusions about what definitely happens when you use these tools, but I do think that they may be worth exploring if you're primarily working with faster flowing shots and would like to stretch out contact time without changing grind size. I do have a few more things I would like to try, with a video coming next week comparing my P64 with SSP multi-purpose burrs to the Monolith Flatmax with SSP cast. After that, I think I'll need to take some puck thickness measurements. That may or may not leave me with more questions than answers yet again, so stay tuned.